There we go. Good morning, everyone. The numbers stopped on me, so I wanted to be sure I had started the webinar. Good morning, Lori. How are you?
We don't want those numbers starting. That's for stopping. That's for sure. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited about today.
I am too. I tell you, I always say it's going to be fun, right? This is going to be fun on steroids. This is going to be just amazing amount of fun. So how's your summer going so far?
It's going really good. Like the kids go back to school in about a week, so it's just wind down time.
Oh my God, it's getting close to that time. You know, I'll have to share a photo next week. It's so funny. There's this, what I call the bird gang. Okay, the bird gang. So yes, I'll share this picture next week. So Babu, my cat that everybody always hears about, is being bombarded by the bird gang. It consists of 2 peacocks, a rooster, and also 2 chickens. Yeah. And the roosters came up to Babu's stroller and were like looking her straight in the eye, saying like, "We're going to get you." So I will show you the bird gang next week.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah,
I got a video. All our listeners want to see it too.
I know. So we'll do the bird gang next week. But for right now, why don't we have you go ahead and get us started?
Beautiful. Let's do it. So good morning again, everyone. Give me a couple of seconds while I share my screen, and I will give you a quick introduction into, there it is. Sorry about that. Who it is and what we're doing here today. So again, my name is Lauren Simpson. I'm with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. Welcome. The SBDC is a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, and we offer no-cost services to local small businesses. And our services are at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of all of our fees. It's a no-brainer to reach out to us, of course. For the Los Angeles network, which is the network that I represent, we have locations throughout the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. And you can see those represented on the map in front of you. You'll see we have locations near Camarillo, Santa Clarita, there's Pasadena, all the way down to Long Beach, and of course, areas in between. Again, we offer no-cost business advising, and so you're able to meet one-on-one via Zoom with one of our business experts. Lucky for you, we have a guru of all numbers, Miss Lori Williams, and so you're able to sit down and chat with her regarding taxes and finances. Again, she's the guru of all numbers, so bring your numbers to her. We also have experts in the fields of marketing, business planning, licensing, permitting, you name it, we've got it. And then we offer virtual trainings, much like the training you've joined today. So as you can see on the screen, we're here to help. Please get in contact with us today if you haven't already. You can reach us via phone, 866-588-7232, or you can go online, and that's going to be smallbizla.org/new client. Or if you've reached us outside of the our area, so again, that's the Los Angeles, Ventura, Santa Barbara counties, you can go to America's SBDC/find your SBDC to get in contact with the local office. With that, I am going to stop my screen share really quickly. Quick housekeeping. So we want to make sure that we're putting all questions into the Q&A. Again, questions into the Q&A. And then please, let's be sure to check out the chat for any links or information that we'd like to share with you. And with that, Lori, I'm going to kick it over to you. Good morning again.
Thank you. Good morning. And you know, Lauren, I've been meaning to tell you, I almost need to pay you to be my marketer, because you know why? The guru of all numbers, your slogan that Lauren completely gave me, is starting to be said by others. And even when I'm at the SBDC and people give me invitations, and they introduce me to the clients to meet with, right? And so Annie, shout out to Annie on there. The other day in one of the introductions to the client, they said, "You'll meet Lori, the guru of all numbers," right? So I think it's just going to stick. It's going to be the famous name. And I forgot to tell you that, Lauren, you're made me famous in the marketing. So today, what I want to do is I just want to go over some of our upcoming sessions. Next week, we're going to talk to LaRuth Wright. Now, this is really interesting, guys. She has a company that is Diamond Funeral Services. And when I first met with LaRuth years ago, I was just so amazed that, you know, we don't normally talk about funeral services, and it's not one of those topics to discuss, right? You know, but I tell you, this has been one of the most amazing business models I had ever seen. When LaRuth left the room, I was just astonished because she put together a partner relationship and has a full service funeral service company that does extremely well. And so if I was to stand here and say, look at this is a widget, and they use partners all over, you'd be like, oh, that's really cool. But I'm actually going to say, this is a funeral service company that has partners, and showed how great that can be. And so I thought, who better to discuss how to form good partners than somebody that's using partnerships, relationships to offer full services for funerals, right? How much better can it get from that? So from there, we're going to go to Callie. She owns Art Mafia. And this provides creative services to the entertainment industry. And being that the fact that we're in California and Hollywood, I had to have a guest that talked about the entertainment industry. So it's the good, bad, and ugly, you know, the contracts, hiring contract people, how to get opportunities within the entertainment industry. She'll be able to share all that. And then the following week, we got Deborah Darris coming back, and we're doing a long-awaited session where we're not talking social media. The guru of all numbers is not going to be talking to the guru of social media for social media. How is that, Lauren? We are going to talk about a mindset for successful business. And something that I never even talk about is the fact that I'm also an NLP practitioner. But Deborah picked that up on my biography, announced it on one of the shows, and we got a bunch of shout outs to say, hey, talk to us about the mindset for successful business. So we all know from all the people in the audience and all the conversations of our guests, you know, being an entrepreneur is not always fun. In fact, sometimes it's 50-50, and sometimes it's maybe only a 5% fun. But what you got to do is you got to keep that spirit. You got to keep going, trugging through all those words. But it's not just a matter of saying, there's no weeds in my garden. There's no weeds in my garden. We're going to show you how to take those weeds, pluck them out, and keep the mind going during that 5% till you get back to the other side. So we're going to have a really fun discussion. I don't even know how it's going to go, to be honest with you, because I don't usually talk in public about my NLP. So I'm going to be up for this one as much as you guys are. Who knows? Especially with Deborah on, right? Who knows, right? And then after that, Christine Thompson, I would say I'm probably correct in making this statement, Lauren. This is probably the oldest SBDC client from time period. I bet you this is one of, this goes back so long ago, because I've been with the SBDC for about 10 years. And this was with a division that was actually in Santa Monica. That's not been in Santa Monica for probably 10 years. So Christine and her partner walked in when I did one-on-ones. This is so long ago on site, and wanted to talk about her financials. And I have been working with her and her company on sometimes quarterly, every 6 months, going over her financials for that entire time period. And so I reached out to her and said, Christine, come on and let's talk about what you've learned during a decade of using Lori's Excel documents. How much more can you get from that, right? So with that, that's what's coming up. But while we're speaking about Excel documents, I am really excited because you know what, Lauren? This day is a beginning of what I hope we'll have more. We have our very first frequent flyer coming on the show. And this is so exciting because I love everybody out there that's joining for the first time. Welcome, welcome. But the frequent flyers, dear to my heart. It's the middle of August. Everybody's vacationing and you guys are hanging there with me. And so this is a frequent flyer coming on, and I'm really hopeful that more and more people will come through there. So Randi is an entrepreneurial cosmetologist of Los Angeles. And when I say the charismatic hairstylist. Charismatic is not even strong enough word. I know, Lord, I don't even know. The charismatic of charismatic hairstylist. How's that? So she took a leap of faith and jumped into retail sales within the beauty business. She had an extensive salon experience and became a frequent flyer on the Small Biz Talk. And she thought the retail business would just be a piece of cake. How complicated can it be, right? Now, these are Randi's words. However, 650 products later, several spreadsheets and a POS system she wasn't sure she was reading correctly, Randi reached out to the guru of all numbers, Lori Williams. And now Randi is here to share her experiences and what she learned during the process. And I'm so excited to welcome Randi to the show. Randi, welcome.
Hey.
Hello there. Hello
Hey,
there.
girl, hey.
And in the background, we got Randi's mom. And I just want to say hello, Randi's mom. And Randi's mom, you have a beautiful daughter, and I just love her to death. So good job, Randi's mom. So,
send her the link.
yeah, Randi shared a link, and we're just happy to have Randi's mom on with us today. That was the big laugh that we already had coming on the show. So Randi, why don't we start out, I said from a booth renter to a beauty supply stylist. How did you get there? Tell us your story. I am going to let you probably do most of the interview because you're just awesome. So take us to the beginning so we can walk down your entrepreneurial journey. How did it all start? How did you get here?
Okay. So like you said, I'm a hairstylist of a million years. Okay. And so let me back up. I started with the SBDC with another entrepreneurial plan. That goal will still be, it'll come alive, but we have to hold on for just a second. So because of the pandemic. And during the pandemic, I was able to speak with another beauty supply owner in Hawthorne, and I helped him throughout the pandemic. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to make a pivot financially because everybody's not in the salon. I don't think that I'm going to do house calls like that. And so on and so forth. And looking at his numbers in his beauty supply, I thought I can do this. And Lori, let me just tell you, he's totally unorganized. You would die. So with all that being said, I said, I can do this. And during that time, yes, I had heard of you on a Zoom call during the SBDC giving out information about unemployment for entrepreneurs, the EDIL, the PPP.
Oh, that was when I was doing those.
Yes.
Yeah. I was doing, for those guys that aren't familiar, before I created this Small Biz Talk, I was doing a weekly webinar. I was unfortunately the top expert on all that. And that's where I was so burned out. I was like, okay, guys, I've done this for a year. I want a talk show that's friggin' fun.
That's how it came about. I thought everybody was requesting you. I thought you just continued to get requests because I wrote your name down. I heard you. I was like doing stuff and I was listening, and somebody said something that was just kind of, you were like, no, that's not right. That doesn't even make sense. And I said, oh, wait, who is she? I like her. She's assertive as myself. And so I wrote your name down, and I would look to see what calls you would be on, because I knew if you were going to be on the call, I was going to get the right information. Just as easy as that. So
Lauren, that was just an awesome representation for me. I think I should pay her for my marketing too.
Oh, no, keep Lauren. Lauren has got your back. So from that, when I saw that you got the weekly Wednesday, the Biz Talk, I jumped on, and each week, you just got different information, or you got clarification from the last meeting, Zoom. But there was always a question answered, or there was always something to think about, a lot of critical thinking. I know sometimes consistency can be a little redundant, but I feel like that allows you to get the full picture. And so every time you pulled up your widgets, I would pull up my stuff and I would try to do my thing. And I was like, okay, this is getting out of hand. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know. I have too many widgets. Okay. I have too many spreads. I have too many widgets. And so that's how I got to reaching out to you.
And you do have a lot of widgets. Now, when do you want Lauren to show the next photos?
Okay.
So why don't we go ahead and do that, and then we can get the photos, and we'll stop the screen and we'll get a big view of you. So go ahead, you introduce this guy. Okay. What happened is Randy sent this to Lauren, unknown to me till this morning. This is friggin' hilarious. So Randy and Lauren, take it over from here.
So what you guys are about to see is my interpretation. I will speak verbally, and Lauren will show you the visual pictures of my first meeting with Lori. Now, Lori is straight to the point, and I knew that going in, so I wanted to make sure my stuff was together as much as possible. And so when I reached out, she gave me a phone number. Most people give you a Zoom link, and I said, oh, she's not messing around. She's going to hang up on me if I don't have any information. And so Lauren showed the first picture of my calling. No, that's the last one, the first one. I don't know how it came in the email, so I'm sorry.
No worries. So I'm gonna, I think I might follow now. Hold on. We're gonna do this guy.
Okay.
Randy, they didn't come in the order you wanted.
So show the bathrobe one first.
Okay. And then it's the cup, and then it's the computer, and then it's the last one.
Yes.
Got it.
Randy,
all right, here we go.
In my technology, okay.
Here you go. Here we go, Randy. You take it away.
So this is when I called Lori. She gave the number and she says, hi, this is Lori. And I said, hi, this is Randy. And so we talk and we get to know each other. And then she says, well, tell me a little bit about your business. And I say, okay, this and this, and I'm a hairdresser, and I opened the store, and I have a lot of stuff. And she says, okay. Well, I didn't see anything. Did you send me anything? Do you have any information to send? Second one. So I send her one spreadsheet, and she says, oh, you have data. And I said, yeah, I just sent you one sheet because I didn't want you to get confused. If I sent everything, then I just wanted to answer the questions as we went, and then I can show you more. And she says, no, show me everything you got. Third picture. So she gets up. She's like, oh, so you really have data. And she starts to typing, and she says, well, what else do you have? And what is this? Oh, well, when I say, what is this? She's looking at my data, and I have it in my own way that makes sense to me. And she's like, well, I'm not going to say this is wrong, but what is this? And then maybe we can move it around. And I said, okay. So I say this, and she says, oh, and she moves it. And then she says, well, do you have this? And I said, well, what is that? And she says what it is in layman's terms. So I understand it. And I said, oh, it's that right there. She says, oh, you have data. So then I say, well, I have this POS system and this and that. And so she says, well, do you have that information? I said, yeah. And so I sent it to her, and she says, now show the last one. She says, oh, you have data. And I'm like, yeah, girl. I said, I just don't know what I'm looking at. I think I'm looking at something. She says, oh, wait. And so she's moving through it, and that's how you can hear. That's what I hear. And then I can see all the stuff moving, and my grid's moving, and I'm like, oh, and she's like, oh, yes, you have data. I'm going to show you some really fun stuff. And so that's what our first meeting was.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. That is so hilarious. And there is truth, because so I'll tell you, on my side, it's hilarious. So when somebody has any data I can work with it. That's why I always tell people, just start giving data. So Randy, oh my God, I have to tell you, she has 700 SKUs. So one thing I wanted to tell you in the audience, I hear all the time, well, I got a lot of different products and I don't know how to manage it, and there's no way I can do it. I'm like, Randy has 700 SKUs. So what Randy had, which is so common, she had all these little pieces that were just sitting around, and there was no way ever she was going to be able to analyze it, because they were mixed, matched, and misaligned. It was like my heart went out to her, just like it does with everybody, because they're trying so hard to understand, but they're looking at it and it's not telling the story, and they think that it's not telling the story because of a lack of your own knowledge. But it's really like this. Have this analogy where you're looking at a map and you're hoping to get someplace, but you are following a road that Google did not tell you that it ends, it's a dead end, and it's not here, and then it starts up again, and you really got to go like this. And so there's no way you have an alignment to go down this road. You have to move it all around. And then I bet you, Randy, we probably spent at least 2 meetings, if not more, just gathering and moving data. And like always, I don't always just be able to look at the data and go, oh, I know exactly what we're going to do. I have to then figure out, what are we going to do? But Randi was superb, because I had to give her all these instructions on go and enter and enter and enter. And you were actually probably on the other end, just like the cat at the end, just typing away. But yeah, I do type away, and I do Zoom calls after we start getting going, and you just see all these things moving along. But that is completely hilarious. And so now tell us about the brick and mortar. You signed a lease, you started buying products. How did you just jumped into it? No parachute, just jumped into it?
Yeah, I don't use a parachute, please. We'll live. It's fine. No, I have good knees. No, so during the time of me helping the friend of mine, I just started kind of doing just homework. I started looking around. I started driving around. I started looking at what the leases were. There was on the SBDC, there is a workshop for leasing. I don't know, but it helps you get an understanding of how to read the lease, understand and sign, and maybe even if you can work something out within your numbers, right, with your cost. And so that's what I was doing. So I continue to seek out the SBDC for information within this pivot when making this transition. So I worked downtown as a waitress. So I had already had a familiar, and oh, let me back up. I'll do side jobs for tax purposes just to help my pockets. Okay. That's what entrepreneurs do. We have to figure it out. Yeah. So I was in this area, and I just saw how it was booming, and I was paying attention to the demographics, and I thought, there's not many ethnic salons, beauty supplies. There was 1 or 2 that I had, patronized just to see what they were doing. And I thought, I can do this, but I can bring my own flair because I'm a hairstylist. And also too, this would be an opportunity to have 2 locations that I can service my clients, because 1 location is in Orange County and this location is in Los Angeles, but I do have clients that come from Los Angeles to Orange County. Right. So I thought, hey, why not? And after us doing some numbers, we talked about certain pivots that I'll have to make, and I'll have to definitely add a hair day here in Los Angeles to make up for some of the costs when we're talking about the brick and mortar. So luckily I do have a skill besides just depending on the retail sale of it. So me being a hairstylist really helps the slow build of the beauty supply.
Right. And Lauren, we got to make sure before we end that we get in the chat Randi's store locations, how to get in touch with her for hair, everything. We got to make sure people can reach out and say hello to Randi and get in touch with her. So we've got to make sure we do that. Now, what was interesting, guys, about Randi's situation is not only was this overwhelming numbers of SKUs that we had to work with, but she had what I refer to many times as a product, the supplies, and then a service, the hair cutting. And Randi was doing, I'm just calling it hair cutting, but it's all the hair.
Yeah, that's all that. Yeah,
everything. But in the service component, Randi was doing it herself. So technically, we could look at that being part of her income, no cost of goods, right? But on the product side, she's buying it from other manufacturers and reselling it. And so what we had to do is look at both of these separate and then look at them combined. I'm going to just say that, Randy, why don't you just take it from there and talk about what you learned when I started breaking down these numbers? I don't even want to feed anything into your mind. Just, the fact that you have the product and service and what you found out about the things you needed to know about those things. I'm just going to say those things.
Well, again, being a frequent flyer, there you did different segments, and it was usually about goods, and then you had and then you touched on goods and services small. I think it was with the cookies or something, the baking.
Yep.
I don't remember. Yeah. And so that was I was like, okay. And so, but then I took your financial 101, the second session, and that's when it was like, aha, I see. Okay, I was already doing it, but it just made sense. So then I had to understand how to separate them both and know what was paying for what.
Yeah.
Or, what, like with the goods, what do I need to do? Do I need to bring up my profit margins? Do I need to market? What do I need to do? So I think just, again, continuing with the consistency of getting the information and going further with some of that information. You can't get all the information in one Zoom. You're just not, it's just not going to happen. So keeping up with that allowed me to then know how to come at you or fix what I had or what have you. So that's really.
And your situation, Randy, was a very common one. And guys that are on the show all the time, when we spoke with Joey was talking about this one division that he thought was profitable, but it was actually bringing him down. And there is no way you're going to sell a product and have a gross profit. It's the same as if you're delivering a personal service yourself. You're just not. But you can't be where the products and the sales are bringing you down so much that you're actually harming. So you have to kind of have, and that's what we were talking about near the end, this complementary, existence between the service giving you this really nice, healthy gross profit, but you can't do it all the time. And so the product's adding to it, but not. And so that's where it's really, especially in your case, because it's an extreme one, your product has really low gross margins in some of them, because they're just, that's the way it is. That's the industry. You can't do anything about it. And so you have to have such a consciousness, because it's easy to get one way and the other one down too much. So let's go back. And this is the thing that I know that you had to do so much work. I had Randi take every one of her 700 SKUs and put what the selling price was, and then what the cost for her to purchase it. And in essence, we were looking at the gross profit. Now, this was fascinating because it was across 700 SKUs. So one of the things we noticed is the range in the gross profit margins. And so we had to do a lot of statistical probability to see how that was affecting you. So not necessarily with the need to mention any gross profit margins, but what are some of the things that you immediately became apparent, which you couldn't see until you put these numbers, about the different products you were offering and what you needed to do when you considered offering a product, rather than just, well, this is cool, I think I'll offer this product?
Well, that's we can get caught up in that, just offering a product because we see it on Instagram or stuff like that, and it doesn't do anything. It won't sell nothing. So being able to have the hairstylist background allowed me to go in, and that's what helped me pick my product. That's what helped me to understand what was popular in a realistic range. So I wanted to have a range from high to low, stuff that anybody can afford. It's just, it's regular hair care. But then we also have our high-end stuff, some of our high-end products. And when we did the analysis, and everybody, I just want you guys to know that when with the spreads, with the Excels, I had all the information with the cost and the amount. I had all that, but it wasn't aligned to how it looked. So I could see Lori putting it in, just aligning it different. So that saved a lot of time. And she was like, she did one. And then she put in the what are they called? The calculations.
Yep.
And then she said, okay, you do the rest. I showed you
Yep.
how to do one, you do the rest. And so that helped me visually see and understand how it's supposed to be aligned. So then I was able to go into my own stuff. I knew which products had a low profit margin just by looking at it. But when you put it all together and it was all aligned properly, I was able to see some of these high-end products. I'm not going to be able to even get a better profit margin, and that's just not what it's going to be. But then I learned what I am learning is wigs are the thing. So wigs sell out more than anything over some of the high-end products that you think would sell. So I was able to see that with me selling wigs and extensions, that will give me a better balance, profit margin. It balances me out to keep me kind of healthy, without marketing. I haven't marketed yet. You guys are the first. Without marketing, I was able to see, okay, where I need to push it, what I need to push, and I don't need to buy any more of that, or I need to find a better distributor.
And that's the key I wanted. And Randi, you just mentioned it. You had to look through and say some of these places you can't buy from. You just can't. And you wouldn't have possibly came to that understanding without looking at the data where we aligned it to look at the gross profit, because there was a couple of your manufacturers, one specifically I recall, that was just across the board low margins on every product that they sold you was extremely low margins. So cutting off that manufacturer completely increased your profit margin greatly. And see, what's interesting, guys, and this made it even more complicated, and I'm just making up numbers to express. If she had a product that was like a real low, like maybe a 29%, and then she had a product 75%, it depended on the quantity she sold. If she sold a bunch at the 75%, it could be good. If she sold a bunch at the 29%, it would not be good. So we had to use what's called, go back to old arithmetic, a weighted average to say, what is the quantity you sold at this percentage and what is the quantity you sold at that percentage? And there are products that you do want to or sometimes need to offer just because there's something people want. So what you have to do is you have to kind of use what I call a blended rate. You have to make sure you're not selling a ton of those, and you have to make sure you're selling enough at a higher profit margin to offset it. So it becomes kind of a calculation and an understanding. There was a situation, this was years ago, where this company had a total loss leader in the percentage margins, but it was the only product that people would go to their competitor for. And then when they got to their competitor, they would buy the other things, right? So it made total sense for them to offer it so they wouldn't lose that customer going to the competitor. But we knew we were making up for it on all the sales. And that's what a loss leader is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a mathematical calculation that has the knowledge in advance of what you're doing, when, how, and why, and the quantity. Not just, a lot of times people just discount to make a sale and then don't have that connection. So once, I think what was interesting, Randi, and you can comment, but for me, because I don't know where we're going to end up till I get the data lined. I can't read it any more than the other person can, it's not until we get aligned. And once we got it aligned, I know how well the story started telling itself. I always say the story tells itself. So once the data became aligned, I mean, some of the decisions were like no brainers. Oh, I can't use this manufacturer. I can't use this. Yeah, you're commenting. Go with that. Wasn't it like almost like we were like this, right? Like the cat. And then there was this day where the music would have went da 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 da, and everything opened up with an understanding.
Oh no, the light shined. It was kind of like, you're probably one of these people, you see a math problem and the equation, you don't have to do the work, like you don't have to show your work, where I felt like I knew, I had an inkling that it was going towards this, but after we did everything, it was affirmative. Like it was, okay, I'm not crazy. Yeah, no, we're losing here. Or it just showed the picture. It showed the picture better. And one thing I will say with you, when I gave you, you can look at numbers or just the bottom line and you already know. So when I showed you the POS numbers, you were like, yeah, something's wrong. And you didn't care. You didn't care about the POS anymore. Who cares? You wanted the Excel. You wanted each spreadsheet. And it looks better. You can see it better, because I will say we depend on POS systems, or we depend on, like you say, templates or other systems to run our business. And I knew that these two, my Excels and my POS, they weren't aligned. Something that you have said several times with using certain apps or what is that?
QuickBooks Online and syncing your data. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about. So that allowed me to, once we solidified and made the spreads more visibly, we could see them and they were visible to what our strengths and weaknesses were. I was able to correct the POS system.
Yep.
So now I didn't know what I was correcting. I didn't even know. I didn't know. Like I don't know. Who knows? So I was able to do that, and now they're pretty in sync. Certain things change just because of me adding more product or whatever has sold, but I can still go back to the original, what we have done, and go from there. I mean, it's.
And that, and what Randi explained right here, this was golden, guys, what she was talking about. So in kind of going back over it, the POS system she was using allowed you to put in the cost and the sell price. And then if that data was correct, it would give you some real-time answers. And that's what you're trying to do. It's like flying an airplane. You want some real-time answers on the dashboard. And so once I saw the document from the POS, I recognized the capability was there, but it was evident to me that this was totally wrong and we couldn't even rely on it. So that's what, like Randi said, I was like, I'll get that on my face when I'm going to look at that. You got it. And what I'll always do is I'll always go back to the original data, because the original data doesn't lie. So what was the original data? It was how much did she sell it, and the invoices, how much did she pay for it when she bought it, right? That was the original data that we had to go back to. And so once we did that and put it in, we were able to see. And it's funny, Randi, because you know what? I don't consider myself good at math. I did not do well at math. Math was my worst subject. And I tell people that because don't feel as though I don't understand math. I can't understand this. As you know now, the equations are really, really, easy. They're adding, subtracting, and everything. But I would say after 30 years of looking at the numbers, it's this weirdest thing for me. I can just look at numbers and it's like the little voice of the numbers speak out and go, there's something wrong. And I go, what is it? And they go, I don't know, and I'm not going to tell you. You got to get the original data. In other words, I can't tell what exactly is wrong, but I can always tell something's wrong. I can look at anything and go, something's not right here.
Well, you remember that Thursday I called you because I needed my fix. I needed my Lori fix. I was confused on my dates. But I needed to hear a voice. I
forgot about that. I gotta tell you this, guys. So Randi had an appointment on Thursday. She started getting her dates confused, and she'd call me every Thursday. I go, Randi, I'm getting ready to get on another call. So I told her one day, I go, I'm just gonna accept the rest of my life every Thursday at 9:55. Randi's gonna call me and say good morning.
I had to. I mean, I was like, I think I need it. I just need help. Okay, Lori, I got my Wednesday, but I need my personal time on Thursday. I need my time. But I remember, so you weren't ready for my stuff. And I don't know, you built, by the way, we built my template from 1 square down to, I don't even know how many squares we have now. But Lori had set it up to where we were working the numbers at a 45% profit, gross profit margin. And so, but I thought I understood that, but I didn't. Again, consistency, keep going back. So until you understand. So I had put my own numbers in. That's what I'm doing. And so Lori's looking at me. She's like, what is this? And I was like, I don't know. I messed it up. I'm always messing stuff up. I know I'm going to mess it up. And so just right off, I mean, she only blinked twice and she knew that I had did something wrong. And then once you like scroll down a couple times, she said, oh, girl, it's not your own numbers. We're scaling it. This is what you put in. And I said, oh, because again, I erased her stuff, move, and I put my stuff. And she recognized that before we could even move on. So that's what I mean by you can look at something, and I don't care what rhetoric we're talking or how passionate we're about something, you can look at it and say, you don't have a quart of milk and you'll never get a refrigerator to put it in. Okay. So, so
I love that you added the refrigerator.
Yeah. I mean, you got to keep the milk cold. So
you're right. You're right. You know, my face thing, you're not going to be able to buy a quart of milk with these numbers. And you know, what's interesting about what Randy's talking about and what I see, you know, I always used to say, remember The Sixth Sense? I always say, I see dead people. You got to remember the movie or you wouldn't understand what I'm talking
I get it.
about.
I see
so
it.
Anybody that's listening that, and you got to look at the movie. So I don't really see dead people, but you'll understand. But I do. I see things, and what it has to do with, which if you guys want to know my secret to seeing things, and I'm going to first start out by telling you, and Randy, you're going to get there. You're not there yet, but I can guarantee, and when you guys talk to Christine, who I said is one of the clients that I've been working with for 10 years, she will, after we make a mental note to discuss this, you will get there too. So let me go where I'm going with this. In life, and we know this, and I'm trying to think of an analogy, but we recognize trends. I mean, okay, I don't have children, right? But I know anybody that has a child probably knows when suddenly their child's just acting strange, and you know they broke something, they did something, they spilled the milk, they did something, because you know how they behave and you know trends and you sense something's just not there, right? Well, numbers do the same thing. And so once you start using these Excels on a daily basis, weekly, quarterly, you numbers just don't do weird things. They just don't like that. They follow patterns of progression. And so what I can look at immediately is the differences in the percentages and sense when something isn't logically making sense. That's what I like about numbers, is they do have some kind of logic and progression, and human beings, we're just friggin' crazy, myself included. You know, I sometimes say, I felt this way yesterday, I feel this way today. So will the real Lori stand up?
Girl, I'm a part of the crazy club too. Don't worry. Yeah.
But at least the gross profit margin stays consistently. And somewhere I wanted to go with this, Randy, is let's talk about it, because one of the things that I remember now, the mistake that you made, and it's because I created for you two different templates. Now, what they all tie into original data, but let's get into the specifics on this. So this is where we're going to go next. So one of them, and we're going to talk about this one in the latter, was more complicated because it could say where she is financially, and we could use it as a forecaster. The other one answered a completely different question, and that was cash flow. So you learn straight up, these are two completely different things. Cash flow is one thing, and forecasting and profitability is another. Now they influence each other. You know, if you're profitable, you may have cash. If you know not, you won't. They influence. But when you view them, you're viewing them with two totally different purposes, and they're telling you different things. So that's my words. Put it in your words, Randy, because your peers can understand you better than they can understand me.
Well, no, I think you do a great job in layman's terms. Okay. You really, I can tell from each segment that you are reading the questions and you're like, okay, so they didn't understand what I said. Let me say it like this. So you do a very, very good job of that. What I can say about those two, and that was so funny because I was like, what are you looking at? And you're like, girl, we're on the other page. Oh, we're doing something else. It's the same thing. So the best way I can explain it, it's like a couple. You have to live with it. You have to live with your mate. Sometimes you fight and sometimes you don't agree. But at the bottom line, this is what it is. You know, we either align or we don't. And you'll
Lauren, you got to capture that. The bottom line is like living with your mate. We either align or we don't. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
No, I don't, like you said, I loved how, and I'll just say this, a lot of me needing to understand this, not just for me to be able to grow, but my mom, who you met this morning, is a banker. And so I want to be able to communicate with her. I don't communicate well with her in that sense. And I don't think that we're speaking about something different. I just don't think that I'm communicating correctly. And I don't understand what she's saying. So when I'm speaking with you, you guys speak the same language. So I'm like, oh, well, that's what she said. But Lori said it like this. So now I'm able to, I get what you're saying. And I can, go back to her and share, because you will see, obviously I share everything with her because she was on our call.
Exactly.
So I want to be able to have that, that ability to go to someone who is near and dear to me, but also really does have the experience of just numbers. Numbers are black and white. So, being able for you to explain it and me to see it 2 separate pages, all of this, it just showed to me that we need each other, but sometimes we just don't agree. Yeah. And that's the same thing that the gross profit margin, the cash flow and the the forecast. Thank you. The forecast, they're hand in hand. And you think that you don't need one and you don't need the other. No, you need them both. It's not like I can go without the jelly with the peanut butter. I can make a peanut butter sandwich. No. You need goobers. You need them both to go together. But that's really hard to understand, because you want to look at the projections because that feels good. But when you're looking at the cash flow, that might hurt.
It's so true. And with the cash flow, this was kind of cool what I ended up creating, like Randy said, I start with one cell and I build onto it. That's why there's no template. But we were able to look at where are you going to be black and white with the money in the bank. And then we could also say, well, if you have this sales coming in and you have these bills coming in, or you may have to pay on this, what is it going to look like down the road? So what eventually these allow you to do is say, this is where I've been, this is where I am, and this is where I could be. And now you've got a full view of everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you can make better decisions.
Absolutely. And now I can move forward. Like I didn't feel like I said earlier, I haven't really marketed. Now I've marketed, but not like that. I just started my Instagram page. I'm just starting to market digitally, and maybe even a couple of flyers to some of the salons and the barbershops around here. But I just like getting with the people and getting to know my environment. But I knew I did not want to open up these floodgates, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing, or I didn't have a firm understanding. I can market to the world, but if I don't have the operations to fulfill the needs of the patrons and my own pocket, then it really didn't make any sense to me. So I just knew we had to meet, and I knew we had to buckle down, and we did. And now I feel much more comfortable saying I'm here and going forward, and now reaching out to other colleagues and collaborating with, maybe even doing some classes and just different things. I can do some photo shoots and stuff to market and bring in more business and even more clientele for my hairstyle.
I mean, just think about it. We had a good number of products that you had to exclude. If you marketed and thought, well, these are good selling, and you suddenly increased the sales on that, it would have been devastating. It would have been bankruptcy on that point.
I would have had my milk carton empty, shaking it on the corner here, trying to get some change in it. That's what I would have had. Okay.
Yeah, your milk carton would have been
no quart of milk. No quart of milk. It would have been an empty quart. Yes.
So we're getting close to the end of the time, believe it or not. Let's talk about, like, what are some of the decisions? You mentioned marketing, but are there any more that you can say after having these meetings? I now know, and I'm deciding this instead. Let's get a summary. What do you now know and that you didn't? And even if it's just I gained a comfort in.
I think more of a comfort. I had the idea, like, even where there was a point where I was like, aha, and you said, yeah, you see it, but this is how we're getting there. It was more of the aha, it's definitely the comfort, in the comfort to be able to move about, so just knowing, you know, just knowing that you have a hold on something. You bring this up all the time. A lot of people make entrepreneurship glamorous. And it can be, okay, we're flawed. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of decisions are made emotionally, and I didn't want to make emotional decisions. I wanted to be able to move to grow. So I think just with that, being able to see it clearly, being able to understand the language, it's like kind of like a music sheet. If you don't play an instrument, you don't know what those symbols are saying. I didn't know what the number, it's yes or no, okay, positive or negative. And like you said too, don't worry about what's in your bank account. That's just a revolving door. You have to see it's a much bigger picture. Yeah. We think we have money in the bank. It's time to go shopping. It's time to hit the streets, okay? What? I can't pay my rent. I can't do this. I would have known that if I had an idea about my numbers. So I think,
one of the decisions, like you said, is to offer more hair settings, more hair services is what I meant to say, because you realize, and you were kind of moving away from offering more where you found out no. So literally you were going this way and you learned, no, I got to go that way. So that was a complete turnaround that if you look at it, Randi, if you continued to sell those that did not have the profit margin and discontinued more of your services,
girl, we wouldn't be talking.
It was heading in both. So really you turned around and offering more services you saw was key as well. And that's where you're offering them at the I think it's the Los Angeles salon now. Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And that was something that you mentioned in the cookie, the cookie demonstration. You don't have to pay yourself to make the cookies, per se. Like if I had a person in here, I would have to pay them. So yes, I thought I would be able to fish around to my other endeavors, but no, I gotta comb some hair.
Yeah.
and why? I mean, I love doing hair, don't get me wrong. I'm just, I've been doing this like Nebuchadnezzar, and so I wanted to get into Nebuchadnezzar is an old person in the Bible, you guys, if you don't know. Or no, Methuselah.
I heard the name and I couldn't put my finger on it. Thank you. I'm like going, I know.
I don't know. I saw your eyes. Yeah, no, of course. No, Methuselah. I'll do Methuselah. So I've been doing this, so I want to be able to, I get my feet wet in a couple other areas, and I wanted to bring these things out. But yes, I'm going to have to put my services first and really figure that out, and bring back meet up with some old colleagues and just go that route, just for now. But
it's something that actually comes up a lot for me with people. And let me see if I can figure out how to explain it. Entrepreneurs do a certain service or something they're offering, whether they're their own salesperson for their company, but they're doing something when they start and it's just them. And then in a short time, what they're hoping is they can replace that completely or have somebody else they pay to do that, so they can do these other things that are now interesting to them. Yeah. I just had a conversation with another SBDC client, went through several rounds because I knew it was a very difficult thing for her to hear. And so I kind of sensed it at the beginning, but I didn't have the numbers. So a lot of times I'm also building the template with the person and I'm giving them time to come to terms with what I know the data will say. And I'm not telling them, the data's showing them. It's much better if you learn from seeing rather than me telling you, right? But anyway, going back to what I'm saying. So this was a person who was doing like a cookie company. I'm just going to use that to be generic. And she had hoped somebody else could come in and make the cookies, but I was showing her the price you're selling for the cookies, you can't afford to pay somebody else. If you have to spend a certain amount of time. And she's like, well, I really don't want to do the cookies. I want to do this. And I said, well, then get out of that business and do something else, because the cookies, if you pay somebody, you're going to be weighted down, and the cookies are weighting you down, like, and then you're not doing what you want. So a lot of times this concept is I'm going to grow my company and then I'm going to get somebody else in to run it. It works, but it's got to have a plan. So that's one of there's two things about that. I tell people, when you're doing forecast, you have to include an hourly rate for yourself. That's why I'm saying it, because you can never replace, like Randy's talking about, an endeavor if you don't put an hourly in the forecast. And the second thing is, know that it's usually down the road a long ways before you can replace yourself. It just is so.
It is. And that's a very good point. I think a lot of times we hear and see people, I'm an entrepreneur and I have employees and I have this. And you said something long in probably the first or second Zoom where, you hear these fascist people talking and then you get a hold of their numbers and you're like, now look at this. You're not making any money. That's just that. Okay, it looks good, it sounds good, you seem like you're that guy or gal doing all these big things, but no, you have to put your right foot forward. Well, me, I'm left-handed, so my left foot forward. And so I think that is, I don't think that a lot of people are realistic. Even me talking to people, I don't think people are realistic. They think they're going to open a company and hire somebody. Something you said in one of the flyer miles, when I learned I wasn't doing was just forecasting an hourly rate from me. Yeah, I'm a hairstylist. I make my money, give you my money. But I'm adding these two in.
Yep.
It's not just put it in my pocket. I have to now, I'm paying myself now. So how do I incorporate that? And I was a little shortchanged. Okay. I had to shortchange myself. I'm calling the labor laws on myself. Okay.
You actually, that is hilarious. So many people could, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, well, you're getting below minimum wage. And that's illegal, technically. If you're not making,
girl, I was like, wait. What, do I have to go to the unemployment? No, I'm not. But you, again, me staying consistent, I was able to,
and we caught it early. That's the one thing, Andy, because you were saying I was afraid to expand. And, there's a couple things that I thought of that I wanted to mention. What I noticed, and this is pretty much across the board, intuitively, the owners always suspect. They don't understand it. They don't know, but most of them suspect something's not right, And then the other thing I wanted to add is, and I wish this wasn't true, but after working with the SBDC, so I'm talking about the smaller ones, you guys in the audience and everything, and this is why I do it. I would say, and this is going to be a hard one to say for me, and it's a hard one to hear. The majority of you guys out there, when I do the numbers, I'm going to find out you're not making money and you got to make some changes. And that's the thing that I've noticed. And so what happens is everybody takes these marketing classes, they're figuring out how to do their accounting, and they're just going down this road. And my heart goes out because you're the ones that are really working. Like everybody knows from being on the show, I grew up on farmland. I picked beans when I was a kid. I'm not a silver spoon person. I grew up on a farm. I put my education, everything into my own mouth. I put my silver spoon in my own mouth is what I tell people. So I have this, this passion for people who are out there really busting, trying to make it work. And it's so sad for me to see people working like crazy and not having a clue. Like they're saying, I'm going here. And I'm watching them run the opposite direction going, wait,
where are you going?
Right? And then they say to me, but just give me a template. I'm like, I can't, it's just impossible. It's not that I'm being a jerk, not giving templates. It's impossible.
No, it's not possible. Just like, what is it? You can't walk in another man's shoes. It's not that way. It's for some instances, yes. When we're doing our bills, there is, your personal stuff, there is a template. You can add, that's easy. I can do that. Okay. But not with the beauty supply. Completely two different things. You can add.
There's so many variables is what it is. And so what I got to do is I got to take the business model here and I have to take my knowledge here and I have to sandwich them together. So this knowledge is a template, like, gross profit margin formula. That's a template, right? The cash flow formula is a template. All those are a template, but how you create it to this situation is what makes it unique. So
Yeah.
as we're ending, and I went over a little bit because it's my favorite word, and I know you have a new relationship with it. So I'm going to say a word and you say how you feel about it now. Gross profit margins. How do you feel about that word? I know it's not one you went around talking about a lot. How do you feel about gross profit margins now? Is it something that's in your speak?
Wendy, look, if you ever hear me having cocktails or lunching or brunching with someone, you'll hear me, oh, profit margin. Oh no, yeah, no, I'm too cool now. Okay. I am cool. So no, I think, and when you do say that, it scares people. So they're like, oh, who does she think she is? Yeah, I know. I know you're lying. You're not as cool as you think. So thank you for bringing me a part of the cool club. And
it's an important aspect
it's
to understand, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
we're
the
comfortable
most
together.
important thing to understand, and it's the least common word anybody speaks of. And when they do, they don't have the right calculation, like your POS system.
Well, yes, and it's called the truth.
Yep.
Everybody likes, what do they call it? A white lie, but nobody likes the dirty truth. Well, it's the truth. So, I mean, that's how we're going to roll. We're going to roll with the truth.
Gross profit doesn't lie. Well,
No.
Lauren is not Randi. So much fun. I want to make one mention though, and we already got it. Somebody said, amen to that. Joyfully, what's her contact info? I believe Lauren put it in the chat to get in touch with Randi. So Lauren and Randi, you guys chat real quick. Make sure that anybody that wants to get in touch with Randi knows how to. Randi, you are dear to my heart. Randi's mom out there, like I said, what a lovely daughter. And the fact that you're a banker, oh my God, I got.
Oh yeah, you guys would get along great.
I'm gonna have to call Randi's mom someday, Lauren, and just have a conversation with Randi's mom. I just have to do that. But Randi, seriously, I mean, I told Lauren, which is so hard to believe, guys, can you believe Randi was shy and worried about coming on the show? I mean, is this not crazy? This is the most vivacious live woman I've met in so long. I was like, what do you mean you're nervous about coming on the show?
I was checking.
Everybody is, didn't she do awesome? I mean, thank you for being real, for sharing, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring home to everybody in the audience just the importance of looking at your numbers, and that it can be daunting, but take it away anyway. So Randi, some last bit of words of advice and wisdom to our audience. What's some last words for everybody?
Last words are, reach out to Lori, but don't waste her time. Like, be ready. No, do your homework, do your due diligence, and, be ready. If you're ready to make some money, just don't waste anybody's time and have fun doing it. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to jump without the parachute, at least jump with a smile. Okay. Hey.
I agree. Cause I always say, for me in life, if I'm not going to have fun, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it either.
That's just the way it is. I want to have fun. And by the way, we got grateful. We got thank you. I was encouraged to try. We got thanks. So the chat.
Thank
so
you, thank you, friends.
Everybody in the chat is saying thank you, Randi. So they appreciate you as well.
Support people how you want to be supported. That's the one thing that I want to say. Support people how you want to be supported as well. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for extra 5 minutes.
You are welcome. So Lauren, we're going to let it ask for you to take away on the chat. Make sure everybody can get in touch with Randi. Randi, I know you're studying the numbers. You reach back out to me.
We need a meeting.
You look at them and they just dance for you.
I need a fix. Yes.
Yep, I know. Much love to you, Randi. Okay, everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Lauren, you take it from here. Bye, Randi. Bye, Lauren.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Lori. Bye, Randi. Thank you so much.
Bye, Lauren.
You guys make sure you go to 707 Los Angeles Street. I put the information into the chat. Randi was amazing. Her mom is awesome too, like Lori mentioned. It was really nice to meet you, kinda. Randi, continued success to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone is so excited. They're just saying great job, learned a lot, awesome.
Thank you for
They're
the love.
saying thank you for me as well. Sydney mentioned that. So it's just amazing. I know for me, I have really thick hair. I have 2 girls with a lot of hair. So we'll be
I see
coming
all
to
that
you
hair
soon.
when I see you. I'm like, girl, look at her hair. Oh, she's wearing it down. So yes, girl.
Listen.
DM me. I'm hard. I'll email you my personal number, but DM me. I don't like talking to everybody. Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Sorry if everybody heard that.
You guys can reach out to her on Instagram. She's got an Instagram page.
Thank you, love.
Bye, Randy. Take care.
Bye.
You guys reach out if you need anything at all. I am going to be adding the YouTube in right this second. Sorry about that for not adding it sooner. And then again, if you guys have any topics that you'd like us to discuss, please be sure. Oh, Demetria, I see your question. That's the YouTube. Her IG is Unique Textures Beauty Supply. So I'm going to add it one more time. It's in the chat, but here you go. So that's all her information. That's the name of the business, Unique Textures. You'll see it's in downtown LA. That address is 707 South Los Angeles Street, 90014. So you guys be sure to check her out. Again, if you'd like to be on the show or if you have any topics that you'd like us to discuss, please be sure to reach out to us and let us know. I am adding that link here. And then honestly, that's it for us. We will see you next week, Wednesday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Small Biz Talk. Thanks so much. Bye.